Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your Monday, June 16th Power Hour meeting with Katelyn, Carly, and Clare Fulton. We're going to talk to you all about what's happening in the economy and the news and some training and stuff. If you've seen our videos on YouTube, these are live for you guys and live online, but it goes on YouTube later. And we had some really fun comments on our last YouTube video. Did you guys see on our Instagram? One of the comments was that in a year or so, the three of us will be selling patio furniture at Lowe's.
It's a great
Which I think is a great idea because I love patio furniture. And why not?
Why not Canadian Tire, though?
I mean, yeah, it would have been funnier if they said Canadian Tire or something, you know. But,
something.
Someone else said that we are going to be the poster children of the train wreck of real estate when that comes. And all three of us should get new jobs.
Yes.
Right? Yes.
I love YouTube.
And I think the viewers of whoever did those comments forget that we're actually talking to real estate agents. We're not here to like manipulate the market or convince you to buy or something like that. We're not salespeople on YouTube. We're here talking to agents as our audience.
But we're also just reading news articles. They're not our opinions, which makes it even better. But
Yeah, it tells me that people are still a little bit angry about real estate. That's right.
Yeah, Claire's in control. Yeah. He loves watching it crash.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but people are still a little angry, I think, at real estate agents in general. And I think the fear is that, you know, the market's crashing and all this thing, and real estate agents are going to get beat out by AI and all that stuff. But you can tell that, you know, those are just comments online, so it's fun.
That was a highly watched meeting last week. So.
Yeah, that's a good thing when we get comments like that, then that's okay. So who did open houses this past weekend? And if you're online, maybe Senek, you can let me know if anyone comments as well.
Nobody.
I know Tashia did our open house in Curtis.
Yeah, she had about eight through. We did a list low strategy, had offers on Thursday, had 3 offers, didn't get accepted, so we kept it at that low price for another weekend, and then we'll have to see what we're doing after that.
Yeah, so I thought that usually the open house on the second weekend is maybe dead, if not, but we didn't change the price, so it seemed like that price point still brought people in the door, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who else did open houses? Anyone online? Or I know Michael Stewart redid his big listing. I was curious how that one went. Yeah. In Great Oak, yeah. $4 million mark. So I was curious how that did. But I think summer market is here, approaching. Yeah. What do you think?
No,
you don't think so? Okay, good. You're going to prove us wrong. I'm just judging by the energy of the open houses this past weekend.
No, I think things are picking up. I think we've hit bottom already. I think we're starting to go the other way.
People are waiting for Father's Day.
Father's Day's over.
Okay.
I'm looking at Nelson here. Like you're busy this weekend.
This weekend that I've had probably the last 6 months.
Oh.
And I've got some stats. I've got some stats here that are showing positive numbers here. So don't read the newspapers, man. Listen to us.
Don't read the newspapers. See you at Lowe's.
One thing we have the advantage of, I know what's happening yesterday, okay? But the newspapers and stuff, they talk about what happened last month, or they talk about histories, right? So we have the because the numbers I have there, I have the numbers of what's going on today. So I know what's going on. So I just had the feel that things are picking up. I didn't check appointments and stuff like that. I mean, it's how are they doing?
I didn't check the appointments either.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I think things are okay. Want me to start then, or
yeah,
start with
let's get right into
that?
stats,
So right now we've got 32,745 active listings. Are we going to hit the 33?
Yeah.
I think so.
Santa gets so excited about this number every week.
35.
35,000, you think? Okay, so what's the ramifications of 35,000 listings?
Longer on the market. Too many options.
Like lots of people want to sell, but I don't know.
Will prices finally go down?
The prices are coming down. You don't know yet.
They haven't yet. It'd be nice.
I do actually feel like, so I'm going to Orangeville a lot, but I do feel like Orangeville prices have definitely come down.
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, you get outside the 416, you get outside GTA, and prices have dropped completely everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Outside, especially far away places, right?
Yeah.
People that bought in 22 trying to get out of the city during COVID and stuff like that, they bought out there, and all of a sudden they want to come back, and it's not as easy.
No.
So we got 32,745 active listings. There's 14,000 are condominiums, and almost 19,000 are freeholds. Of the vacant properties, 33% of that inventory is vacant right now. 32% of freeholds are vacant, and 43% of condominiums are vacant. So that tells a lot of, well, we know that the condominium market's a little odd, right? Because the people are trying to sell those small things. Sales themselves are at about 3,000, and last year about 3,000, so it's actually minus 3% from last May. What were we May versus May of last year? Sorry, we were down, how much, what percentage?
4?
That was the prices. Prices down
Yeah, no,
4%, but
sales.
units were down, I think it's 23% or something.
I think it was about 20%.
Should be on the first page.
13.
Sales are down 13% and prices were down 4%, right? Yeah, okay. So right now we're up, so rather than being down 13%, we're actually only down 3%, so we're going the other way. Sales that were for over 101%, so properties that were sold for over asking. Of the properties that sold, 23% of them are selling for over asking on the overall. 27% of freeholds are going for over asking, and 15% of condos are going for over asking. So as a pricing strategy, do you price it low, and if you're condominium, maybe not so much. If you price it low, you may not want to do that. Freeholds, it's you got a 27% chance of selling it more than asking. You say you guys priced your property on purpose undervalue, so you're getting showings, okay?
Got a ton of showings, 3 offers. I even did a different strategy with a condo town where we didn't have an offer, Nate, and just listed below all of the townhomes in the area and ended up with 3 offers naturally. So it was like a natural bidding war, I guess. But we were listed at above market value the week before and had 0 showings. So that's why we dropped it.
Did it sell?
Yep. Okay. It sold for less than what they wanted, but more than what we had it listed at.
All right, good, okay. So the strategy does work as long as you've got a seller that understands what's going on as
Yeah,
well,
you have to
right?
have a very educated seller.
At the higher price.
6 days. We did, but we were very well educated. We tried the goal price for 6 days and then immediately went to the aggressive approach.
Sales, as I said, over 101%. We're 23% overall. So daily, we're doing about 200 deals per day, which is strong. If you're paying attention to what I've been throwing out there, 200 deals per month. So 30 days in the month, that means we're going to hit over 6,000, right? 6,000 is not great, but it's not 4,000, right? It's not 10,000, but it's not 4,000, right? So it's there, right?
What were we last year? Like compared to? Was that the number you did?
I don't have it from last year, but it was around, I don't have my bigger stack like I normally do. It was about, last week was 175. And then earlier this year was about 130 pending. That's not going to show how many per day though, right?
So last year in May we did 7,200, and so that's strong. So well, we're minus 3% or so, right? So we'll see what shakes out there. Compared to the first 15 days in May versus the first 15 days in June, we're about 1% ahead of last month. Freeholds are actually 2% less than last month, but condominiums are actually 9% higher than last month. So we are getting a little bit of action on the condominiums too. So that's good news. On the leases, 17,883 active leases. There's 7,000 are freeholds, 10,000 are condos. A little bit different story on the vacants. The vacant properties for leases are 52%. So 54% of all freeholds are vacant right now, and 50% of all condos are vacant right now for lease. Are we finding that now? Are we still finding that leases are prices are going down? Who's got something for lease right now? Anybody here? Nobody here's got anything for lease right now? Everything's all leased out?
Morale's on the other side, and prices have gone down. Yeah.
They've come down, right?
Yeah.
Are they negotiating the tenants? Or, yeah.
Tenants are negotiating, there's a lot more selection.
Yeah.
They're taking their time.
So they'll offer under asking now? Interesting.
Yeah, before we used to
'Cause
say that
before you
leases
just
are not
never did.
negotiable. Yeah,
Yeah.
but now
But I find it harder to find a good tenant.
yeah,
The tenant
or-
quality is getting worse?
Yes.
I personally think so.
Interesting. I wonder if that's because of the economy we're in too. People aren't paying their credit cards as much and credit scores going down. I don't know.
And leases themselves are actually up 17%
Yeah, that makes sense.
from last year. Freeholds are up 19%, and condominiums are only up 16%, but at least they're up. So we're starting to see some movement. So I can only assume that the properties that's moving is properties that have adjusted their prices.
Yeah.
Right? If they haven't adjusted the prices, they're still sitting there. But
No, that's true.
I don't know. I just feel that these numbers here are starting to look a little bit better than before. We've got good news at the G7 and right now, at least they're talking, right? I'm not sure with Trump and, did anybody read the news today? Trump and Carney had their meeting already this morning, I think 11 o'clock or so. But they're stuck in those mountains there, so nobody's getting any news out to the media, so we really don't know what's going to go on, right? So they've got it locked down pretty good. But every time that you think they're going to get closer with the Trump, with the tariffs and the trade and everything's going to be figured out, because they figured they made a deal with Britain already, right? They made a deal with China already. Does anybody know for sure? China, like, I know Trump approved it, and it's supposed to go to the China to approve it as well. I'm not sure if China approved it or not, but they dialed it right back to like 55% instead of 145%, whatever it might be. So I'm just hoping that Canada and USA will do something this week. It'd be nice, and then away we go.
Yeah, because
Right.
I can see why the consumers are just madly confused right now. If they're not savvy enough to know even what's happening, they're just waiting for someone to say, okay, this is the end
Yeah,
result.
the whole world, right? The whole world is nobody knows, and then now they're bombing everybody over there, so that makes things even
There's
worse.
just a lot of
So just-
uncertainty and carnage, and yeah, it's a lot of stuff happening.
Did Pakistan and India, did they have a ceasefire?
We are sitting together.
They're sitting together now, so they're okay. Because that happened, and all of a sudden, and then it went away as fast as it came. It seemed, right? And then the other two guys, I mean, they're fighting each other. I mean, it's awful, but anyways, hopefully it'll be behind us.
Yeah.
Wait, but do you think we'll get like a spring market now?
Yeah, I
That would be
think it's going to be a
interesting,
nice summer market.
That's a lot of the headlines. I mean, we've got a bunch, right? Like some are saying it might look like Canada's housing crisis is turning a corner, but it isn't. These real estate markets might be showing signs of life. So there's people that are trying to be a little bit positive, but then it's pretty smacked down with some harsh realities still. Yeah, you're going to be doing showings this weekend. I am reading a lot that people are renting because the cost of ownership is still too high. So now renting is still cheaper, even over the long term, than owning the properties, and that's why you see it in the stats, right? Like up 16%, that makes sense. So now they're renting. I overheard Tenant talking to somebody, I think it was Natsumi maybe, because she was running around with tons of tenants. He said it's actually kind of a good sign that people are renting, because it might be the first sign that people are willing to move around and do something. So maybe the renters come out first and then buyers, I don't know. So people are doing something, they're moving and putting deposits down. So it's not a bad thing. But yeah, prices still haven't come down. And that's why the headlines that are saying this housing crisis isn't not turning corners, because of pricing. So interest rates have come down. They're a bit steady. Income has been increasing, right? So our minimum wage increases every year, but the national average income has been increasing. But still, people are spending about 50% of their income on their mortgage. And so until prices come down, that's going to be the real trigger to signal the market. So maybe what we're seeing right now could be a slow start to prices reducing and then the market picking up a little bit. We have a lot of things going for us. There's lots of good government programs and things happening outside of the political world, but still prices are high. So it's a message to our sellers. Anyone who's got listings, that's our message to sellers right now. You have to reduce your price. Those are the people really controlling the market right now.
Sounds like you're trying to control them.
Like I'm getting control. I'm trying not to work at Lowe's. Okay, I'm just trying to establish my authority here. Otherwise, I'll be at Lowe's too. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised to hear that people are doing more renting. And I know, Claire, it's not necessarily what you like, but what we would hope is that those people are going to buy and sell in it's going to take 5 years probably of renting, right? So getting them into your database and following up with them and showing value to them as a tenant until they're ready to make that next step.
So I said there that the properties that sold for over 101%. So that means that on the opposite end of the scale, that means 80% of all Toronto area condos in this particular case are now selling for under asking price. So these guys are just making headlines, right? If you guys are doing social media, doing any stuff on Instagram or TikTok, where you might be, and you're looking for headlines, you can make up any headline you want. This is all these guys are doing. They're just selling headlines, right?
Yeah.
80% of Toronto area condos are now selling under asking price. So that's just a headline, right? But that makes sense. I think the average sell price has got to be, how much is it now? 99% or so?
To ratio?
Yeah. Do we have it here?
It's usually on the...
Days on the market?
Yeah, 99%.
Sorry.
Last year was 102,
So,
it's 99%.
so properties that are selling, they're still selling within 99% of the asking price. But then this article here says 80% of condos are selling for less than asking. So, but it's still within 99%.
And they're still selling.
You follow me there? So even though the headline says 80% of the condos are selling under asking, it's only 1%.
Yeah, the media is funny. Like this article is talking about how the market's starting to pick up, and it's saying home prices in Toronto continue to remain low, down 4.5%. So they're taking a stat. We know that prices are down 4%, and they consider that to be low, whereas prices are still high. The average price is still too high. So it's not, they're not remaining low. Prices are still very high. But you have to be really careful on how you read these. I had a client tell me on the weekend, she read an article that said that prices were down 20%, and so she wasn't going to sell because of that. And I said, well, were they talking about all of Canada? Were they talking about GTA? Or turns out they were talking about Brampton. One part of the city, and she took it as 20%. I'm not going to sell now. I'm going to wait. So you have to be really, really careful for sure. Yeah, we're talking about condos. Mm-hmm. Still, 60% of our inventory is condos right now. It's so interesting though, because the housing supply in terms of resale condos is growing every week. At the same time, they're still putting fear that we don't have enough supply. Super conflicting, right? I also was reading that, they talked about how all these investors are here now, and now we relied on those investors to pick up our condo market. Some developers are doing something different. I read about Mattamy doing prefab homes instead. They tried to do that 25 years ago. It didn't work, and they brought it back. The problem I have with these prefab homes, though, they still have to find land to build them in, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing too, like when we're shopping around in Scarborough, like you think about 32,000 listings, there's a lot of listings that are not good. Like they're not habitable. They require a lot of money and time to get up to speed. So imagine if we took the plots of land we have right now and converted those into decent houses that people could get into. I've got a listing coming up in the market. It's literally not habitable. It's going to require somebody to come in and literally tear down the house and build it. And those people are not in the market right now. So now we're relying on those people to help build housing, right? But those things are just going to sit forever. I don't know. Yeah, it's Mattamy Homes. It's a division of Mattamy Homes, and they're called Stelumar, which is his company names are all based on his kids' names, which are interesting. But he's producing modular components for about 3,000 housing units. They're doing their own factory. It's going to consist of 6-story condo buildings, as well as some single-family detached. His goal is to make them slightly bigger than what they've been building in the past. They're paying attention to consumer demand. So where a one-bedroom today might be built 600 square feet, they're going to try to do 700 square feet. Costs should be a lot lower than what it would typically cost regular construction, but it's still going to take a long time for it to come. But it's nice to see builders are trying to do something, right? Mm-hmm. Were you aware of this? Stelumar from 25 years ago, they tried to do prefab. He says he's learned a lot about the technology back then and the mistakes because it didn't work back then, and they're going to try it again now. So people want to own a home, and they're trying to give them an opportunity to live that dream. So we'll see how long that takes them. But people are trying, developers are trying for sure.
Sorry, I was talking back to condominiums. You're saying that the condominium units represent 60% of the total inventory. Now, I just didn't, my numbers aren't the same, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just said 80%, or no?
Yeah, so I've got like 32,000 or so, about 13 or 14,000 are condos, 18,000 are freeholds. So, but they come here 30% of total. But then you have to watch out for the words, and you can change the story any way you want, right? So the key word here is Toronto condo units. Yeah. So if I take the 416 area, 60% of all listings right now in the 416 area are condos. No surprise, because what have we been building in the 416 for the last 15 years? Condos, right? So it's no surprise at all. So they're just giving the obvious, but it's just a score, and they're saying that 60% of them are condominiums.
They're also saying that same article is 7 months of inventory.
That's right. So they're saying there's a disconnect between inventory and sales.
Yeah.
There's only 973 sales reported through this MLS system in May in the 416 area, which marks a 25% year-over-year decline. So that's what's going on in the 416 area. But I guess a lot of people don't want that 500 square foot stuff. It's changed quite a bit.
I don't even think renters want those anymore either. I don't think anyone's doing anything with those.
Anybody have condominiums that are not selling here?
Yes.
All right. Apparently it's 7 months of inventory. All right. So you've got, so that's quite a bit.
It makes sense. Took us 10 months to sell our last one.
I have 40 showings for rent on a 420 square feet unit.
Okay.
40?
40 in 2 weeks.
How many offers?
3 altogether.
Is it like a unique kind of 400 square feet or like
No, it's really bad.
interesting? Is it priced then? You priced it well?
We tried 2100.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That does not seem 2,100
I
for
know.
400 square foot.
Doesn't that sound crazy?
Down to like CO1?
No.
Like Scarborough?
Richmond Road.
Oh.
Yeah, it was wild. No.
Maybe because there's not a lot in Richmond Hill?
So I think the X factor was that we also had parking and locker.
Yeah, okay. Fascinating.
Is that the one you did here? You did this one here, right?
Nope, I didn't.
They're saying that condo sales dropped 75%, leaving investors bleeding cash, according to CMHC. So CMHC went through a whole study here talking about Toronto and Vancouver and how the condo market is what it is. 55% of all pre-construction inventory sitting there unsold. So something like 20,000 plus new pre-construction condos sitting there in inventory. So that they've never seen that before.
Yeah.
But this fellow here is saying here why Toronto's new condo market isn't collapsing even as defaults loom. So does anybody have any clients where they can't close on pre-construction? I know that you must have a bunch
I know
of
that
clients,
they
maybe not here.
exist, but this article does tell us something that I was curious about because it's not happening as much as I thought it would. I thought I was going to be receiving a lot more calls and text messages and what do I need to do? And I've only heard of a couple. Like I haven't heard of the amount I've heard, but this could be why.
So they're saying here, a typical example is an investor who purchased a 650 square foot condominium in 2020 for $1 million. Would that be normal?
Yep.
2020, $1 million? What they'll find now is that houses are only worth $700,000. That condo's worth $700,000. So that's a $300,000 gap. So when the bank's appraisal comes in, leaves the buyer unable or unwilling to close, right? So he's got a $300,000 gap. So there's this disconnect between the speculative days gripping the pre-construction market. So what happened is that a lot of buyers, when it first started in 2010, 2020, many investors paid a massive premium over the existing resale values. You remember that? We were selling resale values, like resale properties were going for $1,700 a square foot, and pre-construction was going for $1,200. And everybody's saying that's because it's a price from 4 years from now. 4 years from now, the price will be $1,200 rather than $700. That was the whole shtick, right? And it did work in the very beginning of 2010, but 2020 it didn't work because the price 5 years from now is going to be less than $1,200, and this is the situation they're at right now. So it's been real concerns for the completed buildings. They face a wave of failed closings. Again, they're talking about failed closings, but I don't see a whole lot of it myself. You're right. But here's where this guy here doesn't believe it's happening. He's saying here, I'm not going to read it, it's going to go by memory here. He's saying that now, and this happened in the States. Remember the States that had the huge sell-off down the States? Like, was it 2008? Remember back there, everybody was getting a mortgage. Like you could be a dancer there, and you own 2 condominiums. Anybody would give you money for doing anything, right? And then what happened is that when they all started failing and collapsing, then you got the corporate investors that would go in there in Florida property in particular. Rather than buying one townhouse from these guys, they'd buy 50. They buy the whole block, and the builder would get rid of 50 units all at one time, and that was the end of it. So they're selling this stuff in blocks. If you weren't involved, you don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? So now it's happening in Toronto, where a lot of these builders might have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 of these units here that are failing, and rather than collapsing the entire building, they now have professional investors. They have institutional investors now are buying up the whole block. At a discount that we would never see.
Yeah, so I'm reading that, long are the days of a platinum agent anymore, where we used to create this like frenzy of like, I've got the golden ticket, there's 10 units and you got to rush to get it. It's almost like they created this false sense of artificial scarcity. And now these people get to benefit from the fallout of this.
Yeah, so it's saying here it's been quite resolved behind closed doors, capital quietly relocating from unsophisticated retail investors to institutional and semi-institutional players with the high risk tolerance. So all the mom and pop guys are being replaced by these professional institutional investors.
And I think that's why it's been so quiet. I think these little guys are, not little, big guys are coming in, making deals, and we're not hearing about it. And I think in a couple of years, you're going to see all brand new condo launches under different developers and yeah.
So I don't know how you get in that pool, or if you've got a buyer. I've had buyers come to me saying, hey, I've got a buyer that wants to buy a plaza for $10, $20 million. I mean, I get those from time to time. Hey, Nelson, we get guys phoning us saying, I've got a buyer for this. Why not get a hold of Madame Home and say, look, I've got a buyer that wants to buy 20 units. What do you got?
Yeah. Wow.
All right? Something to think about.
Very interesting. So even rental buildings are trying to entice tenants to pay higher rents. Have you guys heard about the Fitzroy developer? They have some in Midtown Toronto and around Yorkdale, I believe. They're a luxury purpose-built rental developer, and they've just signed a 10-year deal with Cleveland Clinic. So Cleveland Clinic is a private healthcare system, and so if you are a tenant in these buildings, you get access to free virtual healthcare just by being in this particular building. You're paying high rent costs, mind you. These are luxury buildings. They're probably all furnished as well, but you get access to doctors, nurses, in-building care rooms, which are equipped with diagnostic tools. Services are offered at no extra cost to tenants, and the developer are covering the appointment costs, and they're acting more like a private insurer to attract and retain potential tenants. So about 30% of the tenants have signed up, and these are mostly newcomers or international students who have some barriers to receiving OHIP healthcare. So pretty interesting how people are changing the game a little bit and paying attention to kind of what people's needs are. Healthcare is a big deal, especially private healthcare and getting things done on time. So that's an interesting thing, and maybe people will be more inclined to rent, especially now in a luxury building, instead of buy that building if they get the benefits of these kind of things. So just people are being creative, which is interesting. What's our time? Are we okay?
1:15.
Okay. There was an agent that sent a letter to Kearney to allow foreign buyers again. So this is a luxury agent, and they're saying that the foreign ban has really hurt our market, and he's requesting to take a look at that policy and to open it back up, because we're missing out on really great talent here: engineers, scientists, creatives, tech entrepreneurs, people that are moving around hubs like San Fran, London, Singapore. Toronto used to be a lucrative hub for people to come and work, and now without being able to buy, he's saying that it's hurting our market, and they need to reconsider that. But you as agents can also send requests out to our political parties if you're passionate about something too, right?
Life leases. Anybody, I know you get involved with life lease once in a while, right? Anybody else get involved with life lease?
I have not, no.
Not too often, right? So life lease is a property that's owned by a church group or charity group or something there, and they built these buildings, and they allow usually older folks to move into these buildings as a life lease, meaning that they can live there as long as they're alive, and as soon as they pass away, then it goes back to the management and they give it to the next person. Right? You're familiar with that, right? And you have to pay all cash. It's okay. It's a nice little option there for people that want to retire and retire in a building with like-minded people. But part of the problem I'm reading here, and I read it last week, and this article doesn't talk about it here, but they're talking about place to live until you die, what you need to know about life leases. And just in case you come across it, you'll talk to me or Nelson about it anyway, or Carly. Life leases are like a condominium, and they have maintenance fees, which are quite high, but they also have capital expenditures. Mm-hmm. Did you know that? So I've got this case here, another case where someone went in there and they had to redo the roof, and they gave all the owners a lifelong lease. They all gave them a special assessment on their units, and they're thinking, wait a minute, I thought this was life lease. I thought I just pay my money and live here and pay my maintenance fee, and that's the end of it. No, you're still responsible, just like you would be a condo owner. You still have to maintain the building. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that Wilmot traded?
Yeah, okay. And as realtors, if we have a client that wants to buy a leasehold improvement or sell a leasehold improvement, we would charge the client 3, 4, 5%, wherever it might be. But the management company also charges them 10% just to manage it, and they have to approve the new tenant.
Leaseholds don't have status certificates, correct?
No, but it's not, because you're not buying the property; you're just buying the use of the property. But you still have conditional upon lawyers. You still want to look at some kind of financial statements, because you don't want to move it in and all of a sudden they have to do these things. Right? So I didn't realize that myself. I thought maybe you bought this and they took care of everything with the maintenance fees, but it's not necessarily the case. So it's just a little careful with that.
Related to tenants, this question comes up every once in a while, so it's good to refresh it, but we get the question a lot. Either they've got a buyer that wants to buy a property that has a tenant in it and they want to move into it themselves, or they want to sell a property with a tenant. And everybody thinks that, or is misled that you can actually kick out a tenant at any time. So as a reminder, if you are on the buyer side buying a place with a tenant, when you buy the property, you would give them notice to serve an N12 to evict it for the purposes of that new buyer moving into it. And so what's happening, there's somebody that they did this to, where the buyer said that they were moving into it, the property closed, the buyer did not move into it, the tenant sued them, and the tenants won. And it's the new buyer that was ordered to pay $40,000 because they did not move into themselves. They tried to appeal it. They tried to say my daughter moved in, and the judge did not buy it. There was no sufficient proof that somebody had physically moved into the property for a long-lasting period of time. Like, they failed to produce even a letter or a mail, something that said that somebody moved in. And it's the new buyer ordered to pay $40,000. So be very careful if you're representing buyers and telling them that they can move into the property. You have to be careful on both sides as well. But yeah, we get this question quite a bit, and agents are often surprised when I tell them that you can't just kick out a tenant because you feel like it, because you're selling the property. So just be really careful with that.
We have so many things like that. I get that question every week.
I get it a lot.
Every week I get that.
I get it all the time.
And I get it from both sides, from selling it and from the buyer trying to move into it. And sometimes the buyer thinks that they're going to buy it, say they're going to move into it, find a new tenant at a higher rate. You cannot do that either, so you'll get in trouble for that as well. So there's lots of.
Technically, he could move in for a couple of months. And move
Technically, it should be a year, not a couple of months.
out. For 6 months, people.
Is that the? I think it's 1 year. Is it 6? It's 1 year. 12 months. You have to live in it yourself.
12 months.
So it's 12 months is still 12 months, right?
Yeah.
It's not a couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least he could have saved for 40,000.
Yeah. $40,000 is a lot, right?
And if you guys want to know the rules, we have the recordings from Beta coming in to talk all about this. So there's a lot of laws and a lot of things to protect yourselves from.
Yeah. Ricoh information guide. We all know that's replaced working with a realtor. I haven't seen working with a realtor pop up. Every once in a while I see it, but not too often. How are you guys sending your Ricoh guides? Do you send it like a package and then have them sign it with all your offers? Do you give it to them first? What's your personal strategy on getting the Ricoh guide signed? When they sign the offer, you put it first and you just put all 13 pages with the signing thing, okay? Anyone else?
I do a separate.
You don't do it before showings, or?
That's okay. I don't care. They just launched last week. I guess they revamped the link. They had a link before, but they revamped it where you can send your client a link, and you can actually prompt it. So you fill it in yourself first with your brokerage information. It gets sent to your client's email. They sign it, and it's all, I guess, tracked in this link. That to me seemed a little more complicated than just sending them the guide and having them sign it. But there is a link, so it is an option for you if you want to do it. There is an email that got sent out, but yeah, you'll fill it with your information, your brokerage name, your client's information. Then you click share the Ricoh, and the whole guide gets sent, and then they sort of click through it. And it
What are they
keeps track of
doing
it
with that
way.
information, is what I want to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different question, but I guess you can do it however you need to. This to me seems more complicated, but it is just a regular link that I will send everybody. But I mean, I think it's okay just to have it with your rest of your documents. Something we did learn from a court case that we're dealing with from last week, a small claims court. We're going after a buyer for commission, that they went with a different agent. On a side note, though, that lawyer gave us some advice that when we're dealing with buyers and you've got your buyer representation agreements and your offers, we know that the street level is usually you tuck in your BRA with your privacy and all your Ricoh guide and then your offer, and you kind of have it flow that way. When it comes to arbitration or any sort of discrepancies with your buyer rep, they're recommending that you do your buyer rep and your privacy first as a separate sort of document. So you can say, hi, here's the representation documents, here's what they are. The point is that a lot of buyers right now are complaining that, I didn't know what I signed it so quickly, it was buried into my offer, I didn't know what it was. So to eliminate that, keep it separately and say, hey, this is the representation documents, these are all the documents, I will send you the offer following this so that you have really clear records that you've sent them representation documents, you've kind of clearly outlined it by itself, then you've done the offer separately. It's just to negate the complaint that one day they said, well, I didn't know what I was signing, it was tucked away with all the other stuff and it was very confusing. We know that argument does not fly in the legal world because a contract is a contract, but just some ideas to help protect yourself. Hopefully you'll never have to be in that situation anyways, but yeah. And I'm sure most people are not doing that right now anyways. We do it also with our offers and stuff, so just an idea. Yes.
I knew it properly.
I know you do.
After the offer, right?
Every time we've been to arbitration or any type of court cases, something like that, the first thing they look for is the date of the BRA and the date of the offer. And sometimes it's the same date. They know that you did it all at the same time.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's good or bad or ugly.
Yeah.
The point is always brought up saying that the seller didn't know what they signed. The guy said, "Here, I'm sending you a DocuSign, sign it and send it back." And then they just click, 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 and send it back.
Yeah, it's one of these arguments that buyers are using often.
Yeah,
Right?
but it's not to say that you can't sign something you don't read. I mean, you shouldn't be signing anything you can't read, but that's what they come back with. So.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be a bad idea when you meet a new client just to get all the documents done right away in one separate thing, and then you can focus on the offers after. But yep.
Good. Looks like Carney's going to go ahead with that GST, not HST, the GST portion on new homes. He's going to be able to knock that off. It's going to be up to $1 million, and there'll be another level up to $1.5 million. He figures it's going to maybe save a buyer $50,000, which put that into a mortgage is about $240 a month.
That's only on new constructed homes?
This is new construction of homes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, it's something, it's the GSP portion, so they're trying to do something. Now, I'm not sure whether the builders would, builders usually when they sell a house, they'll sell the house with HST included. So I'm not sure whether they'll put that $50,000 in their own pocket or,
No.
or it gives them the advantage to...
I've seen some using this as a marketing tool to say, hey, this is coming, tell your clients about it, so that they're using it as a tool to give it to your clients, yeah.
All right,
I think they want these things sold. I don't think anyone's trying to...
yeah,
Yeah.
good things going there. Good. Going back to the Ricoh information guide, they have changed it as well, so it's now black and white rather than color, so if you want to print it out, you can save a lot of ink.
I didn't even think about that.
I forgot about that part.
It was 13 pages of colored
Color.
paper, and so they made it black and white, so you can save some.
I didn't even notice because I was printed in black and white, so that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's
Exactly.
I'm surprised they didn't add pages.
Like
Yeah,
literally.
they didn't shorten it, but yeah, no, that's it. And
That's kind of ironic, sorry, that they're making a printer-friendly version and a link at the same time. So they have our challenge too. We're trying to be everything to everybody.
And the time we talked about this last week about how the old folks there are not moving out, they're not downsizing. It used to be that people like old folks they would raise their children and then downsize the house, and now they're not doing that. And the reason why
cheaper.
they say they're not doing it is because a lot of guys maybe have their house paid for, and for them to sell that house and buy a condominium with $1,000 maintenance fees, it's going to cost them more to rent a place than to stay in the house they're in.
And get health care and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They could just bring a nurse to
They've
home.
got everything all there. So the baby boomers are screwing up the market again, right? So they're not selling their houses.
We need your money.
Right? So that's what's going on there.
Yeah,
So.
it's true.
And I know I'm not saying anything bad about this, but a lot of agents do specialize in downsizing, like seniors market, and that's a tough market because you could help that senior, you could help them with their groceries, you could help them with their dog, all for years and years and years, and then they go sick, go to the hospital, and the next thing you know, the daughter's running the show and she's got her friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a tough market to catch there. Any members of the Berry board here?
Aren't we all?
3 still is DDAR.
You've got till June 30th to sign. I think there's a couple of people that still sign up for this because they want access to the Hamilton board. All right. Apparently, you get access to the Hamilton board and some other boards. It's $187 per quarter. A lot of agents got rid of this when we got the new Stratus. A lot of these boards joined Treb, so it wasn't necessary, but there's still pockets out there that are not on MLS. Hamilton being one of them. Is Niagara Falls on MLS now, or MLS? What about Milton, or I'm looking over here, I'm looking for the guys that go out that way. Milton is on our system, and Burlington's on our system. But Hamilton's not on our system. Hamilton,
Most of the listings are on our contract.
not all of them though.
If they interboard them, yeah.
If they interboard them, they'll be there, but if they don't, they won't be there. All right. Eventually, it's all going to go to board anyway, so
Yeah.
it makes sense to me. Good. AI stuff. You going to talk now? I'm just curious. You guys tell me. I'm asking the question. What's AI going to do for us? Who uses AI right now? And you guys use it for just to give you words, like to make sentences for you, like to type your scripts and words, or what else do you use it for?
Decision making.
Designing like Canva type stuff, or designing. Does anybody use it? It says here, a breakthrough in agent's career happens when they're able to offload much of their work to an administrative assistant. What can AI do an administrative assistant? I can't. It's not that far yet, right?
Like listing descriptions, which is what ChatGPT would do. I don't think a virtual assistant could do a CMA.
Can an AI act like an administrative assistant?
Agent can.
Like an agent running the AI?
ChatGPT agent. That's the next iteration.
But you'd still have to tell it what to do.
You do, but I think we're almost I think within the year we'll be at that.
What will they do for us?
Everything.
So could AI type an offer?
I'm pretty sure they could.
So that will
They
be
could
the
book
next
flights for
thing.
me.
So what the article's talking about here is they have an assistant cost you anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000. So AI is supposed to be able to replace this assistant. I can't see it yet. I can't see it.
There's a voice AI that's out right now where they can do outbound calls or even receive inbound calls.
Yeah,
and
we've heard that.
They'll ask some generic questions.
Yep.
Like what are they looking for, when they're looking to buy, and then they'll transfer the call to you or they'll just put it in the system or book it for you.
Is that legal?
So
Remember we heard that term?
so what we've seen in the past there, what you Sam was saying is that there's some people that have an AI and it's just at the beginning. But you pick up the phone will say, hello, Cent 21, and it's a machine.
But it
Yes,
sounds
I'd like
legit.
to speak to Sanic. Sanic's not in right now. Can I take a message for him? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's pretty scary, right? And then you say, well, I'm interested in this property. Oh, which property is that? And then it says, well, what the property is, and it'll describe the property to the person. This is all a computer doing this, right? That stuff there I can see saving time.
Yep.
But the time that it takes to program it will take up more time than anything else, I would think.
Yes.
You're seeing a lot of management jobs would be lost.
Well, that's why I don't know if they will or not. I think they'll be enhanced. That's what I'm getting at. And it's
They'll be
quicker.
lost to the people that aren't using AI. I think
Maybe, yeah.
managers and businesses using AI will be okay, but if you're against AI, that's
I feel like
Or
I
it's
do have
gonna
to
get
proofread
messy.
everything it does though.
Yeah.
oh yeah, especially
Yeah.
the graphics. Have you guys made graphics on ChatGPT? It like misses words like crazy.
I called the top agent in another area in regards to a property she had listed, and it was an AI
Oh.
generated answer. And it was asking me what I'm looking for and gathering information, and it wasn't picking up on things correctly, so I just hung up.
I could see that.
It's a bit frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's their lead gen, but
AI? I mean, or do you think the person is from?
It sounds like it's a person talking, but it's not.
it's like you can almost, it sounds like a human voice, but it's so perfectly toned and like you can tell it's a bit robotic, but it's still a human tone of voice. But that person's that's great for their lead gen, but not for you agent to agent to communicate to get stuff done. Like that phone number should be used online as a lead gen tool, not for
I wonder
communication.
maybe like answering emails AI would be okay if it's like specific email you could respond to, but
I think the only way AI is going to work for you, you have systems in place yourself that somebody can take over that system. I think that's the only way it can.
Yeah, I think you have to drive
work,
it and
huh?
use it and leverage it. It's not just something that's going to like, you tell it to do something and it takes over.
The cost on it is crazy. If you don't like that agent, just keep calling that number and it just keeps getting charged.
oh,
they
it's per
charge
call.
per call.
Yeah. That's why I got one of these things.
You got the same
he
one.
rejected my number. Like I kept calling it, and then I stopped getting the AI. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I called him. He's like, yeah, I have to stop you.
He blocked the
He blocked
they blocked the AI from.
He turned it off for a bit.
Crazy. You got a chart there? Or...
I just want to remind everybody, we talked a couple weeks ago about price reductions. We're still getting lots of price reductions every week. We're signing something. Make sure you're doing all your stats, right? You've got your the list track. Tells you about information, how much traffic you got on your realtor.ca. You've got your broker bay to find out what kind of activity you're getting on your appointments. You want to show your client that you've done your job, that you've exposed the property to as many people as possible, and here's how many people have looked at it through the realtor.ca and Google and all these different things. So basically it's up to them to look at the price. So you just have to show you're doing your job all the time. Don't be defensive.
Yeah, we had that question in the WhatsApp group. How often are you supposed to update your sellers? I'd said once a week at least to go over what's market stats, what's hitting the market and all that. And then if, of course, any competition pops up or any houses that sell, update them that day, but at minimum 1 week. All right, so we have hit the 6-month mark of the year. So hopefully you guys are all on track with your goals and you set that goal and we're halfway there. But I was just reading some articles on how to end the year strong. So starting with a summer real estate plan. So this is typically the time where all of us get a little lazy. Usually we go pretty hard out, I'd say like right before January. We do our goal setting, our business planning. And then around this time, we actually forget all of those plans that we did. So I know a couple people are nodding their heads. If you guys did those business plans that we handed out, maybe a good time to go back, reassess where you guys are at with your goals. But yeah, this is the time when school's out, the kids are at home again. The real estate market typically is slower in the summer, so it's just an easy time for all of us to kind of take our foot off the pedal. But the agents that are going to do really well, we should be actually preparing for the fall market right now. So spring or summer market's here, spring, I know we're in kind of a weird market. We were just talking about it maybe going up, but in the past, this is typically where agents would slow down. And then by the time the fall market comes, you have no clients because you weren't doing all the things we were supposed to be doing. So here's how you can kind of navigate the chaos, especially if you've got kids at home, and how to make sure that you guys are still staying on track so that this fall will actually be a good market for you. Still prioritizing your appointments, so making sure you're still being in front of buyers and sellers. That is obviously a non-negotiable. We should be working with buyers and seller clients. If we're not right now, then there's a chance that maybe we need to get back into that. This is a good time to double down on conversations, whether you're getting back onto like cold calling or whatever. Maybe this is a time where you're going to be a little bit more social with your network. Maybe you're going to more barbecues, hanging out with people, going to things like Rib Fest was just in Pickering. Like Shiv had a water station going, Varan had a big station. So even just attending those types of events, I ran into 3 clients of my own there. So getting out in the public where you guys are selling houses, it's a great time to get out there and start some conversations. If you're having a hard time, maybe you do have the kids at home, time blocking certain times of your day where you can put aside just a touch point with either your current clients, past clients, and then of course tracking them. If you are doing social media marketing or any type of marketing, maybe sit down and start to plan your content now and plan it for the next month. So instead of just like winging it and just posting as you go, planning, like even if you're doing flyers, door knocking, open houses, start to come up with a plan of maybe what weekends you're going to be available to do an open house, what days you have available to go do social media, and all that stuff. Also a good time to nurture your sphere. So don't forget to call your clients, check in with your past clients, ask for referrals. Maybe you don't want to do phone calling, but maybe you can do some email marketing. Maybe it's a slow time now, so maybe it's a good time to clean up your databases, make sure that your email marketings are going through. Back on the e-marketing, if you guys are sending out newsletters, it would be a good time to go back and check out your analytics, especially if you're using Hub 21, Follow Up Boss. See what emails were getting opened, which ones you had a lot of unsubscribes to. Maybe you're adjusting your next 6 months of your newsletters. If maybe you guys are doing the holidays, for example, and you're getting a lot of unsubscribes from it, maybe for the next 6 months you take those clients off those types of emails. So go back and assess what type of marketing efforts have been working this year. And then whatever has been working, maybe double down on that and get rid of all the stuff that hasn't been working for you. So bottom line, summer isn't easy, but it's a good opportunity because a lot of agents will be slowing down. So if you guys are the agents that are continuing to do those tasks, then you're going to be in a good place for your business. Another article I was reading was kind of fun actually, is how to turn your yard sign into a lead magnet. So your for sale signs. And I know our for sale sign is a really important part for us, and we really wanted ours to stand out. So if you guys are in the middle of designing your for sale signs or you're thinking about it, these guys had some really good tips on how to make it stand out. So a lot of the time we just kind of chuck a for sale sign in the yard, and then we just kind of call it a day. But he's talking about different ways to stand out and get more eyeballs on your sign, because this is a really good opportunity when you finally get a sign in the yard. We know how hard it is to get listings, but now if you want the neighbors to be attracted to it, maybe they're going to an open house, it is really important to actually stand out with that sign. So they talked a lot about the shape and size, and we actually knew this as a brokerage when we were designing your signs. Instead of being like those typical 3 feet by 2, try to like maybe do the opposite, where it's a little bit more vertical instead of square. I think ours are large, the ones that we give to you guys. And we wanted them to stand out, so we're not doing the typical size that a lot of people are doing. But they're saying if you do a vertical orientation, that automatically stands out and feels a little bit more elevated, especially in front of like a detached home, whereas the horizontal signs tend to kind of blend in with like all the other signs that are around. They're also talking about having a clean and simple layout. Everything on your sign should have a purpose. So yes, we obviously have to do Ricoh guidelines and all that stuff, but everything should have a place for it. So if you guys are thinking about like the for sale part, that should actually be in large, bold lettering and easy to spot and no fluff. I know for us, we opted to take out the for sale on the sign, and we actually have riders now that are hot pink, which is, I don't know, I'm sure it's against Century 21 rules, but we ended up doing for sale riders and sold riders so that we had more room on the sign to add the things that we wanted to have them. The brokerage and logo placement also should stand out a little bit. We have to do that for the rules anyways, but it also adds legitimacy to your branding as well. A bold phone number so that people can actually read it. So if you guys are putting your phone number on there, don't put like a little tiny phone number. Make sure it's bold in the middle so people can actually read it. Your website should be on there as well for a place for curious buyers to go to. And then they're also suggesting having a simple call to action. So they do have QR codes, but this could be a little tricky. So instead of having, what they'll do is they'll do a QR code maybe in the corner of the for sale sign, they'll leave a gap there. And if you guys are doing landing pages for that specific listing, maybe you guys are using the Spotlight program, you can have that specific QR code go to the website of that property. So saying like, for more information, go here, or to that site, or to that link on your website. But what they do is they actually leave that spot blank on their website, and then they print off a sticker QR code so that they change the sticker every listing basically. So you should have some sort of call to action to give more information on that property. Maybe someone's walking their dog, they're just like curious. So if you can guide it to maybe like a video walkthrough or just like a feature sheet, something like that. Having a QR code in the corner of your sign so at least people in the neighborhood can go to get more information. Maybe you're collecting contact information of the people walking by, but if you haven't thought about doing that, it might be worth it. We've never done that, but could be an option. Yeah, the link goes to a video, single property website, or a lead capture form. I think this is a US one because they say to put your license number, which we don't do. So if you guys are designing your signs, get a little bit more creative on it. Doesn't have to have your face on it or anything like that, but maybe instead of doing like a boring generic sign that matches with everybody else, think about different ways that you guys can actually take advantage of your for sale sign and make it pop a little bit.
And if you want to use our for sale signs and invest a little bit less, use ours, but then you could do a name writer with a QR code or something more unique on your name writer.
Yeah, I don't think we have a copy of it. Might be way back there. But for those of you guys that do not have your own, you can use our office signs. They're really nice actually as a C2 one, and we made sure that when people drive by, it actually has like a reflective light to it. So it kind of lights up a little bit at night. So we wanted to add something on the signs that popped out. And then like Carly said, if you want your name recognition on there, you could even do it in like hot pink, whatever you want. Like if you want something to stand out, or maybe under the rider you have like some sort of website to go to that landing page, but have some, add a little bit more spice, I think, to your for sale signs, especially these days when there's so many. Things that are happening this week. So on Wednesday.
Just go back a little bit here on the signs. Just, I've noticed a lot of agents are putting script for their names. Script?
Oh, like handwriting that you can't read?
And you can't read it.
Yeah. So it looks fancy, but no one can read it.
I haven't seen that actually.
You haven't seen that? Up north, I noticed like a lot of they'll use a script for their name and that.
It's kind of like their logo at the same time.
It's their logo, but I have to look at it twice. I couldn't. Sometimes I'm driving by, I can't read it. So.
And like maybe it's not a problem, but it would be a problem, like for someone that wants to read it. It will stand out.
But now I'm thinking about who's got kids that are in high school. Did they teach script in high school?
They don't know how to use that.
But can you read it? Can your kids read script?
They're starting to teach it in grade 3, grade 5 for my kids.
Reteach it again? They're starting to put it. Yeah, they're starting to teach it again. Okay, because
Okay.
I'm just wondering whether or not anybody can.
I think-
English teacher teaching them how to use ChatGPT to do the assignments.
Oh.
It's an English course.
English teachers teaching them how to use ChatGPT to do their assignments? Oh,
Well,
I
guess you have to
mean-
leverage it. You can't hide from it.
You
gotta
can't
use it
hide.
properly.
That's their future. So that's just the way they're going to be doing their project. They're going to do it anyways, whether the teacher teaches them or not, right? Just they're all going to show up with like the same assignment.
I don't want them to have any brain.
No. But yeah, like if you have to think if someone can read this or not,
No.
don't put it on your sign.
right.
Even if you have to think, if you have to ask someone, can you read this? Don't put it on your sign. Yeah. Keep it bold.
It used to be years ago. Now it's changed nowadays. I don't know what changed, but it used to be that everybody had the same sign. Like our competitors, like LePage or whoever it might be, everybody had the same sign, right? And you had a sign writer on it. But now, look at a Remax sign.
Well, Remax is probably one of the strictest.
Remax could be green. It could be pink. It could be anything.
I think they're going against their guidelines. I think they're supposed to have red, blue, and white, but there's some agents that probably sneak some signs out
so
there.
So you kind of lose. You get too far away from the logo, you kind of miss the whole opportunity of having out millions of
Awareness.
dollars advertised, paying for that. So.
Yeah. But these days, you kind of have to stand out a little bit in your own branding. So I think that's why people are getting kind of away and getting their own signs. But as long, like they were saying, you should have your brokerage logo a little bit bigger in there, just because like Century 21, they're going to know automatically that like you work for a reputable brand. So they want to know like what if you work for a specific company sometimes. Okay, so on Wednesday, we're going to be taking it off-site for training into Pickering. It's going to be at a Pickering sales center with Marshall Homes. Are any of you guys aware of Marshall Homes? They may be a little bit not new. They've been around Durham region for a really long time, but they've never really cooperated with agents on their projects before. So they build a lot of townhomes complexes. So they have now like the pre-con market obviously isn't doing as well, so they reach out to us. Like we said, the platinum agent thing isn't as important, but they've got a project called Time in Ajax. So they invited us just to kind of come to their sales center and learn a little bit more about that project. So I sent some information on Friday, but I'll send it out again. But it's going to be on Altona Road in Pickering, and they're just going to go over those projects with us. And then I managed to reach out to Jonathan Griffiths. He's a lawyer that a lot of us use in our transactions. He's actually going to be hosting an event in July, off-site as well at the Mandarin restaurant. We all like free food. I'll send out RSVPs for that. I don't know what topic he's going to be talking about, but it will be like a lunch and learn type of thing. I think it's July 23rd. So we'll go off-site for that session as well. And those are kind of the main two that we've got planned right now. We're going to be going to the Mandarin a couple times. We're going to be headed there again for Family Day as well. But I mean, Mandarin's got so many options that it's okay. But he used to do this back in the day. I felt bad for him the last couple of years to do that. So we brought him into the office. But I had some requests from our Durham agents to get the Mandarin back, and Jonathan happily accepted. So we're going to do that again. There's only room for about 80 agents. So I will have to do an RSVP. So the first 80 people will be able to come to that.
Good. And how's your leads program running?
Yes, so we got the leads program kind of going. It's kind of slow. If you haven't noticed in the big WhatsApp group, they're not coming in. So it's because we have a separate WhatsApp group now for anyone that came to that webinar that I hosted a few weeks ago. You would have watched the video and learned how to sign up for the leads program. I sent out the recordings for them as well. So we probably have about 20 agents that signed up. What I asked the agents to do was, if you wanted to get buyer leads, just send me your buyer guide and maybe your presentation, which I actually gave it to you. So hopefully you were able to just re-forward it to me. But if you want the seller leads, I had those agents send me a seller's guide plus their presentation. Plus I wanted to know what CRM platform everyone's using because I want people to post them. So there's a little bit more rules to it. But if you want to receive leads, you have to join this program. There's so many of you guys that I can't think about agents that are outside of the group to receive them. Plus, I wanted to state the importance of the timely manner of receiving these leads. So people that are on their phone ready to go, they claim a lead and then they're able to act on it right away instead of me waiting 2 days for an agent to say, got the lead, I'll call them tomorrow. That's not the point. I'm trying to see how we can convert these leads into actual clients. So if you want to be part of it, you still can. It's free still. So just maybe check your emails for that webinar, and then it's a closed group, so you won't see the leads group anywhere unless you have that email. Does anyone have questions on that? I'm probably gonna make a lot of people mad with it, but
No, leads are good. We have leads.
but they are leads.
But they're names.
They're names.
That's why they say they're not prospects, they're leads.
Sometimes they're not
Prospects ready to go, buyer seller. A lead is just a name. So we're testing something new to see if we can convert them, because we've handed leads out. I don't think I've had many agents reach out to me and say, converted that lead, it worked out. Maybe it's happened a few times. So if people aren't telling me that the lead worked out, my assumption is that it didn't work out, which means that our leads program is failing the way that we've been doing it. And that's why I want to put a little bit more focus on it to see if we can actually come up with a program to convert them.
That's good. Any comments online? No.
Anybody have any properties you want to talk about? Promote? No? No?
Everyone's sad.
That's a good thing for you.
Anyone have buyers that are looking for a specific listing? What's that?
Yeah.
Our condolences, yeah. Okay.
Any last words?
No. They're all done.
Okay, so no holidays or anything weird. We're all here next week.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, see you next week. Have a good week, everybody. Bye.